high food equals high performance. If you undercut your calories too much, you're going to be unnecessarily hungry every single day. If you, as a man, are unnecessarily hungry every single day, you are a worse person to be around. If you're a worse person to be around, not just you that loses, everybody in your life loses. They get a worse quality version of yourself, even though you're thinking about potential health benefits. In this video, I'm going to show you one of my clients this week in which I upped his calories, and I am still extremely confident that he's going to lose weight this week. But before I go into that, for those that are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Paul Green and I'm an online coach. I coach grapplers who want to strengthen their joints and improve their longevity in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Sometimes I get athletes from other disciplines that have the same goals, and sometimes they want to lose weight, gain weight, or they're happy with where their current weight is. But one of the first things that they are mind blown by on the first couple of weeks is just how much food I actually give them, because they've been led to believe that pretty much everything in a supermarket is unhealthy, and the way to lose weight is to, essentially massively reduce your calories. There is another way, and I'm going to talk about it specifically in this video. So, a little bit of a backstory just to bring my client here to life, because it's really important that I mention it. He came to me with an Achilles tendon tear and he had shin splints. He couldn't walk for 6 minutes. When I had him on the treadmill at 3.5 miles an hour, he couldn't walk for 6 minutes without getting pain. So I couldn't say to him, be more active. So we had to really get ourselves in the gym and get rid of these injuries, so then he could start actually moving, a lot more during the day. And now he has a day job where, sometimes he's walking around, sometimes he's getting 10,000 steps, sometimes he's getting 8-6. But he also had a really busy family life. So I wasn't going to burden him with an extra time commitment to his day. Also, I didn't want to make his injuries worse, because if any of you have got shin splints or Achilles tendon tears, you know that walking at a certain point becomes an issue. So these were the limitations I had for the first few months of his program. Now, he's about 5 months in. He's actually been running now pain-free for the past 3 months, probably 4 months actually. He's returned back to football, which is his sport. He's got a little bit of limitation. He's only playing, 40 minutes per game at the moment, and then we're just going to incrementally increase that up. But that's the injury front, and I work with a lot of blokes that do have these struggles with injuries. But one of the little side missions that I find myself regularly doing is people that are injured, but they still want to lose weight and they still want to get in ridiculously good shape. It's almost like we reduce their injury, get rid of their injury, but at the back of it, they also are in the best shape of their life, because there's a massive, stigma around being injured. It's like, I'm injured, I'm forced to be less active, I'm forced to eat unhealthy. It's not true, right? It's not true. This is not true. But, this is why people like me exist on the internet, and we definitely can help out. Anyway, so the backstory we've heard. He couldn't move without pain as much as a normal bloke would generally move. So with that in mind, his calories were like pretty low off the bat, right? Until recently. So the start of this week, Monday morning, I looked at his file and I was like, right mate, he stayed at the same weight, but he is now running pain-free. He's now doing sprint sessions pain-free, and he's now playing football pain-free. So I was like, now, and this is crazy, I've never done this before, now I'm going to give you 8,000 steps to do every day, and I'm going to give you an extra 20 minutes of cardio. It might sound so simple, right? But by me doing that, I've increased how many calories he burns every single day by about 400. He's a small lad, so about 400. If you're a bigger lad, that might be about 500. But the way I work my meal plans is I always go 20% less calories from your maintenance, and the rest, the main part of the expenditure comes from output. And this is one of the main mistakes I see a lot of blokes make. And I've seen, again, another bloke on my program, I've seen people on the mat, on death's door, trying to lose weight, whether they're doing keto or carnivore or intermittent fasting or low carbs or just eating salads or just eating fruit. They are on the mat in absolute tatters. They can't think straight. They can't perform. They're just miserable, like a complete reduced version of themselves. And it's a very easy thing to do. You know, most people do this. Most people bang their details into a calorie calculator and then just massively reduce that calorie. Or they won't even do the data thing. They'll just do, you know, no carbs, all this stuff. Anyway, getting a bit distracted. So, Haid, I increased his calories. I literally doubled his oats on the morning and added an extra few eggs into his breakfast. He's absolutely chuffed with that. But obviously, the consequence, that he's doing more cardio and he's doing more steps. So he's doing more movement. But him as a family man, it just gives him more thing. It just gives him another opportunity to take the kids out, you know, to the park. Do you know what I mean? So it actually can stack as being like a family thing as well. The cardio isn't a consequence. It's going to make him fitter for his sport. Now, most of the lads on my channel are grapplers. For your overall weekly mat time, it is so easy for you to tick that cardio box. You're literally a potential fat burning machine. But the reason I structure, you know, steps and low intensity cardio is because the higher the intensity of the cardio, the greater influence it has on your appetite. So we strategically play around with that. I literally say to the lads, I'm like, look, I'm happy if you do low intensity cardio, right? And what I mean specifically by that, when your heart rate is in between 120 and 130 beats per minute. But I also give them the freedom to do whatever they want. If they want to do a sprint session, then absolutely fine. If they want to class, you know, mat time or grappling as their cardio, that's absolutely fine. However, the problem with the grappling, for the most part, people go crazy on the mats. You know, they're competitive, the gyms are great fun, they're always competing with their mates, they want to school their mates, and some of the sessions really, really become ridiculously intense, especially after a long day's work. So with that increased intensity, a really tough BJJ session comes the consequence of that is, you know, a very strong appetite. So when you're on a calorie deficit and you have a very strong appetite, that becomes a problem. So what I say to grapplers that are doing a lot of mat time is I just give them I educate them. I'm like, look, it doesn't always have to be the worlds. It doesn't always have to be trials. It's just, you can chill out and you can problem solve. But yeah, once a week, absolutely go crazy. You don't have to be going crazy every single day, because why would you do that? It's not sustainable. And if it's not sustainable, you shouldn't be doing it. Do you know what I mean? So to wrap this up, in your life, how can you bring this into your own life? So firstly, find out your maintenance, bang your details into a calorie calculator, find out your maintenance calories. I know it's a prediction, but you know, the fundamental data is actually reasonably accurate. I'm not saying it's perfect, it doesn't need to be perfect. What needs to be perfect is what you do when you don't get the results you want. That's what needs to be perfect. So maintenance calories, minus it by 20%, or even keep it at maintenance, right? So you're going to eat a lot of food. Fill your diet up with, you know, high fiber foods, whole foods, you know, oats, rice, you know, pasta is like, maybe not pasta, but whole food carbohydrate sources, plenty of fruit and veg, plenty of lean protein sources. You'll be absolutely sound. The amount of food that you will actually have to consume, volume of food you'll have to consume in a day, will be way more than the previous version of yourself consumed. And because it's healthier, you will feel better, you will recover better, you'll have more energy, more sustained energy. Anyway, not talking about meal plans, talking about on the different videos. You do that, right? But you also increase your output. So you also say to yourself, right, I'm going to do 20 minutes of cardio every day and I'm going to do 8,000 steps. And that's the start, right? And that's going to basically take your maintenance, reduce it by 400. 400 times 7, which is a week, is like what, 20, quick maths, 4 times 7, 28, yeah. 2,800 calories. I was under pressure there. Per week deficit at maintenance. And this is not even the best thing about this. The best thing about this is it gives you a whole new variable in which you didn't have previous to this idea. So you run that for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, finally your weight holds and you're like, right, my weight's maintained this week, assuming that you're weighing yourself every morning, by the way. You should be doing that. Data drives decisions, and this is an important decision to get right. Let's say week 4, you don't lose any weight. Week 5, what do? You don't even fucking think about reducing food. No, we want to keep the food high. High food, high performance. We want to be better on the mats, we want to be better in the weights room. What do? Increase the steps to 10,000, or increase the cardio, one or the other. So increase the cardio to 30 minutes or increase the steps to 10,000. And then, when you plateau after that, then increase the other one a little bit. So you're increasing the output. We're not reducing the food because we're men. We want a lot of food. And as a result of you doing more steps and doing more cardio, you get fitter. But you're eating more food. Then obviously after you've increased the steps and then you've increased the cardio, then you can reduce the food by 20%, preferably from carbohydrates, preferably from protein first, but do not take any of the carbohydrates before or after your training sessions. So take the calories from meals that are far away from your training sessions, because the most important meals of your day are the meals that surround your training sessions. Gentlemen, I hope you found this video useful. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it. Like the video and all that jazz. But if you want to work with me on a one-on-one basis where I take you through this whole process, then the links are in the description and we can get you on the program. But the main thing I want you to take away from this video is increase your output first. Do not reduce input. If you reduce the input first, you force output to be reduced. And the output that you're left able to do will be way less quality, way less enjoyable. If it's not sustainable, you shouldn't be doing it. I sound like a bit of an eco-warrior there. Right, see you tomorrow.